Algebra software. It's open source, by the way. Pretty good actually. I think I'm not too sure. No. Right. So the first step in anything you do. What is the first step in anything you do? Yeah, plan. So this is the plan I did. I guess you need to. Oh my God! You need to ignore those. Actually, let me go erase. Oh, the hell. Okay, why is that? Yeah, but I'm not trying to erase the text. Ah, there you go. Okay. Okay, so this is our plan, right? So we're gonna think about a box, right? How is a box made? Box is made out of wood, right? This is the first thing, right? So let's. I'm just trying to get you through some imaginative way of doing things. Okay? So that's why we're just gonna go through. So it's made out of planks, right? So let's say the bottom of the base, right, will be made of planks that can be right? That's how it's made. But planks are being to make it nice. We always use some sort of brace. It's called jahan. We use a brace, right? So anyway, after we put the planks like this, one way of thinking is then we have planks, going upwards. Yeah, much, right? And then you would have other planks like that. And then you'd have planks on the side, right? Like that. But inside, you want to put a square plank. Sorry, if it's a square plank, a supporting plank, you want to keep it in this corner. Because Mikolan Jahan is Kruta, Mia Jahan, Mifratan Jahan is Kruta, Mia Jahan. To that piece. Right? And again, that piece is enforced at the bottom by another piece. I'm going to thick piece. So that's how the plan goes. So let's do that for now. Let's see how far we can get from here. Right? That's our plan to build that. Right? So let's start with building the container. Right? I'm not going to do anything there. Right, open up Blender and it's set up properly. Okay, it's set up pretty properly, right? You can see what I'm doing, yeah? Okay, where am I supposed to choose screencasting? Okay, there you go. It should show somewhere around here. Here you go. Okay. Right. Okay, now you can see the shortcut keys that I'm pressing, right? Okay. Alright. So the first step, we're going to switch to orthogonal view, right? Right now we are concentrating on modeling. So actually this is the setup to use. I'm gonna minimize this thing. Close this. We don't really need the timeline, right, for this work. Okay. So what's the first step? We need to create a plan. Correct? So I'm gonna go look it from the top, right? I'm gonna add. mean the planning adverb delete that. I'm going to add Shift A, right, is shortcut for adding, or you can use that shortcut. Remember we set up the spacebar thing, right? So you can go add a plane. Right? Now, what's a plane? A plane is a thin thing with it's a 2D surface. Right? Now, because we're starting it, right? We want to start to use we're going to use some techniques here. I'll show you the techniques and you'll start to understand what it is that we're using. I'm going to make this thing. Let's just assume, this is a shortcut thing, this is something I do very quickly. When you do a controller, I want to start the flag. So what I normally do is I put a controller, I loop cut here, center, enter one. And I'll do another loop cut here and then do that. And then I select these things and I delete it. It's just something that I'm used to doing it, I just do it. So that's not the only way you can do it. So, okay, right? So do that, Control R, loop cut adjacent, right? And then I select these sides. Sorry. I'm not going to select the center part. I'm going to select these sides, and I'm going to delete them. That's one option, right? That's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is, if you want to, is you simply select this part, right? And transform values me tab vertex information. It's located -1, right? So I can just move this 0, 0. It's up there, right? Then I can move this point to this place to make it a square. So it will be x-axis it will be 0, y-axis 1, right? Then x-axis 1, but y-axis 0. Pretty much the same thing, correct? Alright, so now that I've done this, I'm going to save first. Alright, desktop, practical, I'm just going to call this a wood box. Alright, save. Now we want to extrude this. I mean, we want not extrude, we want to increase the length because a plank is straight, right? So I am going to move this thing. I want to take it up by, let's say, 10th point, right? What can I do? Again, I open this thing up, and from here I can just simply write 10. X-axis at the point 10 gain, right? But I'm not going to give a value on the y-axis. Why? Because one is on a different value and the other one is on a different value. Correct? Right. Now, something about scale that I need to explain. Scale is relative. What I'm trying to explain here is, now, I have my phone, right? For my phone, this might be 3 inches, right? I don't think that's 3 inches, maybe 2.5 inches, whatever it is. And this might be 5 inches, or 4.5 inches. Now, how can I represent that here? How can I show the 3.5 inch and 4.5 inch, or 3 inch and 4.5 inch? Can I make that kind? Those values that we just used. You see, it's relative. It is, this is 1 point. This is 2 points, 3 points, goes on like this. But this is like a graph paper. It's relative. For you, you may treat this as inches. I may treat this as feet. I must say no. Because this is relative numbers. Okay? If you're making a game, you may actually treat this as pixels. Let's say you're making a, 8-bit game, and your characters are made out of this. You can treat this as just pixels. Right? So it's just relative. Alright, so now I have my plane, straight plane. But it's still not a plank. Right? So, I select it all, and I extrude it up. Now the question is, by how much do I want to extrude this? Remember, I haven't pressed my mouse. I have just pressed extrude, and then it's moving up and down on the z-axis, right? So at this point, I can write 0.25, and I think that's pretty good actually. 0.25 thickness. It kind of looks like a decent plank. It's a pretty thick plank. Just imagine that the box we are making is, going to be a powerful box, right? If you don't like that 0.25 and you think that that's a mistake, again, Mithal, you can change from here. You can write 0.2 along the z-axis. Z-axis ka ni purani ega points taka pura, right? Now these are using values. We are using values because just to make our life a bit easier onto what we are going to do next. Now, after we are done with this, the next step we are going to do is something. Okay. So now start to imagine a plank. Is that how a plank will look like in the real world? Can you tell me something that's missing here that kind of should look like in the real world when you have planks and stuff? Yeah. Why? Don't think about the grain. I'm talking about the shape. From the shape's point of view, is this how a plank will look like? Not the look, not the look. I'm talking about the shape. Now look at the grain and texture, the end, the shape I'm talking about. Is that how a plank would look like? Okay, that's one thing, uneven width. We can't do the uneven thing at this point because we'll be using something like displacement to do that, right? But think about it. In the real world, when you see things, is that how a shape that thing looks like? Is it 90 degree made? Come on, perfect sharp edge can even thing now. It's always kind of curved. You don't put a curving in now. You've seen it, right? When you've seen wood pieces, when you've seen things, you put an edging in there, shining in there. A corner in there has to shine. That's because things get filleted, right? The technical term is there, but almost everything has that. Even if you look at this thing, there is a fillet to it. There's an edginess to it. Kind of bit of a bend, right? So we want to give that to it. And we achieve to do this by actually using subdivision. Right? We're going to use subdivision to help us achieve that. So I'm going to close this menu. Can press N. And I'm going to go back to edit mode in the plane. Right? And I'm going to do Control R. Right? So I can get a loop cut. I'm going to get a loop cut first. Okay? And I'm going to go scroll wheel up to get 2 loop cuts. Right? And what? Okay, 2 loop cuts. I'm going to click it and I'm going to press escape. Alright? You've got the loop cut, it's centered exactly evenly. Right? So right now I can switch the transformation manipulator. I can start moving this a bit to the edge. If you grab the arrow, it will start moving it to the right. If you grab the box, it will start spreading it. It's scaling across the y-axis in this case. Okay? Alright, so that is done. You still don't notice what's happening because I haven't really shown. I'll just move it a bit closer. But a tiny fillet bane. Yeah. Actually, maybe a bit. Is that good enough? Yeah, that's good enough. Right? Now let's look at this from the top. Okay? Again, I'm going to give Control R, loop cut, 2 pieces. Sorry, wheel up to get 2 pieces. Press Escape, and I'm going to zoom into this edge. Now here's the thing. Here's a cool trick. Okay, actually, I'll bring this as much as possible here. I'll bring this as much as possible here, and then I'll show you the trick. Now, when I zoom in, I want to zoom in because I am trying to get, I'm trying to get a feel of the thickness here, right? Now the thing is, I cannot grab the manipulator right now. Correct? So what can I do? press G, that is grab, right? G is grab. Sorry, not G. S is scale. We're not using grab, we're using scale. S is scale, and then we are scaling across the x-axis. Right line on scale, right? So now I can scale across. Actually, what did I do? Scale across x-axis. Okay, I didn't press X. So S, that is to scale, and then press X. And I can scale it across the x-axis. You can notice that whenever I do these things, it's a clear message. S scale X along global x. So I'm scaling across x. Right? So I move it as close as possible here. And that's pretty much even, right? It kind of matches that distance. Okay? Now I'm going to do the same thing here. Okay? Control R, wheel up. Okay? Escape. Now I'm going to be scaling across Z axis. So scale Z, and it goes up and down, and for some reason it's doing it in a very weird way. Alright, look at it from the right side. It's actually easier to do it from the right side because the manipulator is right there. And just scale it up about that much. Okay? Now, it still doesn't look like the way we want it to look like, right? So, we go to modifiers and simply put subdivision surface, and we'll increase this to 2 just for demonstration purposes, and you can see that edge kind of looks like wood now, plank. Okay? Now, for your computers, I would advise you to use only 1. Yeah, because when we start building this box, it's going to start to get slower. Okay? Alright. Yeah. Okay. Alright. So now we are done with the plank. Okay? Next thing we want to do is we want to build one side, and the easiest side for us to build is the bottom. Right? First thing we're going to do is we're going to name this object, and we're going to call it a plank. Right? And just to be on the safe side, I'm going to make a double of this thing. Yeah? Shift D, double, escape, right? And I'm going to call that double thing a plank and dash copy. Dash copy. And I'm going to be the double we have already selected that plank. Yeah. So press M, and I'm going to move this to some other layer just for safekeeping. Alright? So right now, plank A copy mean the layer 2. Alright? And plank, the one that we are working in, is in layer 1. Alright? Okay. We're just leaving that for no reason. I mean, just in case safety can be banned. What can you do? You can click this little, what do you call that pointer, and then you will not be, even accidentally, you will not, layer 2 of course, you cannot even accidentally grab this layer, this plank now. It's safe, it's locked. Alright? Okay, so we go back to this guy, and we're going to build the floor. And to do that, we're going to use another modifier called array modifier. Alright, so what is an array? An array is a collection of the same thing. Well, doesn't necessarily have to be the same thing, but in this case, it's the same thing. In maths, in computing, it's a collection of stuff, right? A repeating collection. So, in this case, we want them to repeat side by side, right? Now, here's the question. Do we want it to repeat this way? No, we want it to repeat along the y-axis, right? Green path and danje. So we go not here. We want it to go across the y-axis. Right? We have to give a value to it. With a 0. Okay? And here a value. By how much are we going to increase it by? By how much are we going to be increasing the distance?
1.
Yes, 1. Because the width of the planks are 1. So just 1 by 1. So that's why I use those numbers. For our case, it's very easy for us to use 1 and 10. But let's say in the real world, you're doing something like this. You have to use that number. Okay? So let's say 1.35 is your width. You actually have to say 1.35. Alright? So anyway, how many times are we going to keep doing this? Count increases the number of repetitions that will come in. That actually will go a bit thicker. Okay, that's good enough, right, for a box. Okay? Alright. Now, 2 choices. At this point, you can leave it as is, right? Because you can always come back later to work with it, right? So, what do you want to do? Do you want to finalize this and do this other sides? Finalize the flow, or do you want to leave this? Your choice, up to you guys. You tell me what you want to do. Here. Oh no, yeah, me, bottom. My question is, do you want me to apply this modifier and then finalize this bottom? Or do you want me to leave it like that and, I don't know, work on another side? Another side. Why do you want to do that?
Because after all the sides are complete, it will be easy.
Yes, then it's safer, right? It's safer for you to then finalize. Me to apply coffee, I'll just control save this. Me to apply coffee, you cannot get that back, right? That modifier is gone. So, just to be on the safe side, wait. There you go. So to be on the safe side, you don't want to apply it right now. Okay. So I'm going to call this a plank. We're not going to call it a plank. We're going to call it side bottom. Right? Actually, I'm going to call this box bottom. Yeah. Hey, right? Alright. So that is done. Now I'm going to look at this from the right side. I'm going to get into this thing. Okay? And remember that if I select everything in here, there will be still one mesh in none. Because the rest of the meshes are just a copy of the same thing. So you don't actually manipulate that. Whatever changes you do to this thing, all these things will, it will repeat it. Check this out. Let's say I do 2 pieces like this. And then I select these 2. And then I increase the size of them. Check it out. It's repeating everywhere. Alright? So I'll just, okay, alright. Now I'm going to copy A, I'm going to select all, and I'm going to make a duplicate of this plank. Press escape, I'm not moving it still, yeah? And then pressing P and clicking selection. What this does is it makes a copy outside, a new object is created, alright? Okay, getting out of this, and there's the new object. I'm going to again rename this plank. Hey, what the plank, right? And I'm going to select a plank. And I'm going to meet it with a modifier D from here. Do you want me to remove the modifier?
No, we can.
Actually, okay, alright. We can use it, right? Yeah. So I'm going to look from the right side. And now I want the plank to go up, right? Okay. So I want to rotate it.
So then.
Yeah, so press R first. Yeah, me view, this is a cool thing. If you are in this view, on the right view, and you press R, by default, you will be actually rotating across the x-axis. X-axis through and balance. So you'll be actually rotating through across that. So R fitta, what can I do? I can press 190. What do you want to do? 90, 180, 270, 360. 90.
Yeah.
What does that do?
Minus 90.
Okay. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay? Even if you do 90 just now, you made a mistake, then again rotate 180 to go to the other side. No, that's all okay. by default, mathematically speaking, this is the 0 axis. This is 0 in degrees, right? This is always positive way, and this is always negative way. We are used to protect the atom. We are used to actually thinking that this is the positive side, and then this is the other side. But actually, in default, this is 0 axis, 0 degree, 90th degree, 180 degree, 270 degree. That's the way it's actually supposed to be, right? In maths, and computers use maths.
So, and where do we write the measurements?
The measurements?
I mean the rotation.
I just press R, right?
Yeah.
And just press minus 90. See, take a look at this. This is a console that actually comes up. So that's why you're able to do this. Right? You know what you're writing. If you made a mistake, just press backspace a couple of times, and you can again write whatever you want to write. And then press enter. And now it's good. Now here's the thing. 2 ways you can do this. One way that I would do it is just, zoom in, grab, and then just move it up here. There you go, done. Correct? But if you really want to be anal about it, you really want to be accurate, points, right? So if I open this up, you notice that it's at 0, 0, 0, right? I need it to move along the y-axis 1 point, correct? So that means where? Y1. Right. Oh, right. What was the thickness of this thing? 0.25, right? Yeah. Thickness at jihani move kran. So y-axis ka jihani 0.25. Was it 0.25 or 0.2 we gave?
0.25.
I think I gave 0.2. I think I gave 0.2, not 0.25. Yeah, but it's okay. 0.2 I gave. Now I need to move it up by this thickness, and that's also 0.2. Y-axis ka, I need to move it up 0.2. Now that's perfectly placed. There's no error there. There's no overlapping there. Do you need that overlapping? Is it dangerous if it overlaps? Not really. See, these are 2 meshes, right? And it's okay even if they overlap, right? So it's okay if it overlaps. It's just if you want to be extremely accurate about these things, you can use the numbers. Now the other side, I'm not going to use numbers. I'm going to simply double this. I'm going to. By the way, do you want it to be that high? I don't want it to be that high. I'm going to reduce that by 1. Yeah, that's how much I want it. Yeah. I'm going to double this, Shift D, Escape. I can still look on the right side. And I'm going to move it to this side. And I'm not going to use numbers this time. I'm going to just... What's the famous term I use? Wing it. There you go. Perfect. Those are the 2 sides. Now, what do you do when you get to a milestone? I'm feeling happy for now. Alt Control S and press plus. Yeah? Press plus here, and you get another iteration. Alright, and then press save as Blender file. Now remember, you are still not working in one. One is saved as a copy. You are right now working in your original file. Yeah? If you want to make an iteration and you still want to work at it, you press Control Shift S. So those are the 2 options. Control Shift S the key, you're working in a copy. Right? Control Alt S the key, you're just saving a copy. Right? And ideally you want to save in another name. Right? Okay, so now we have those 2 sides. Let's name that. We are going to call this box front. Front anyway. Wait, let me check. Yeah, that's the front. Yeah. And I'm going to call this box back. Right? Now we need left and right. Correct? So to do this, I'm going to look at this. Select. I'm selecting box front. I'm going to go look from the top. Shift D, rotate minus 90. And here's the cool thing, when you do minus 90, this bottom side is already aligned because of the way it's done. Yeah? So it's just easy. But I need to still adjust this top part. So I'm going to tap into this, press Z so I can see through this. C to select circle select, grab this top part and simply move it down so that again I'm going to zoom in and just place it nearby there. There you go. That's okay for me. Okay, I'm going to tap out. And we got that part. Right? And you get the feeling that it's actually placed there, you see? A feeling of those are two pieces meeting up there. Right? And when you actually increase this, subdivisions, it looks nicer. But for now, you know that this is going to happen. You are working on it, right? Okay. Grab this again. Look up. Look up. Shift D. And I'm going to move it to the right. I moved it too far away. Just move it like so. By the way, those who are not following this, the video, once I put it, please go through it. Yeah, I'll put the video up on YouTube as soon as possible. Alright, so that's actually pretty good. Let me see that. Okay then. Alright. So that is box. What is that? Box scale left, and that is box scale right. Save. Are we done with the box? Now, what do you want to do now? We can work on the top, or we can work on the support. Supports, right? Okay. It makes easier sense. It makes sense to actually go with the support because then you know how the top is going to start looking, right? Afterwards. All right. Now, I normally don't like leaving all this here, but okay, just let it be. We've named it box, so it's easier for us to work with. Okay, all right. Control Shift C, so I can bring the cursor back to the center. All right, and I'm going to add a cube. All right, I'm going to increase the cube meter. I'm going to press S and make it thinner, and again increase it. I think that's a good support beam. I think that's thick enough, right? Right? I'm going to look from the top. First, I'm going to align it from the top. Alright? I'm going to align it from the top. Bring it here. Oh, wait. One more thing. Before we do this, what's the first thing we want to do? We want to give that feeling of the filleting feeling. Right? So, tab, and we are going to, I've already repeated this thing, so go to this, so that I'm going to look from the top so we know that I'm doing it correctly. Yeah, I'm going to bottom method. Alright, okay. Then from the side, is it done? Wait, one side is not done yet, right? Ah, right. Control Z. Yeah. I hate this wheel mouse. Escape. Okay, increase this thing. Zoom. Scale. What axis? Z axis, and bring it down. And I know that because I've grabbed both sides, that side will also go up. Okay? Alright, Control S. Alright, tab out, add the subdivider. Okay, and you have that feeling. Okay? Alright, grab this and move it up and align it. Again, I'm not going to be exact here because now I guess you get the idea. So I'm not going to be exact here. Yeah, you don't necessarily have to be exact because nobody is going to see that much detail. Right? Now I've aligned it without, but I still haven't got it from box ke etirega in flank jehetanu negen markadda. So I'm going to look from the front view. Press Z so I can see from everything from the inside, and now I can move it upwards. Right? Zoom in, grab this time. Yeah, I'm pressing grab this time, and I'm pressing Z, so it's constrained on the Z axis. And I need to put. Now here's the thing. Now once you get to working in this, you start to understand what is actually happening. This is the bottom of your what you call it, the bottom. Yeah. Right above that is the subject, the other axis, that second one you put close by, that's that one, right? And the one inside that tiny one that you're seeing there is the one from the bottom gate, right? But either way, this bottom line is the bottom for this piece, right? So I just need to bring that all the way up to the bottom here. What you're seeing underneath that is bending a plank spread the. That's the one, right? Again, you don't have to be really exact about it because if I keep it here, it's going to be okay. Here, it's going to be okay. Because remember, nobody is going to take a picture of that, right? Unless that is what you're trying to do, then you have to make sure that that is nice. Somebody looked at me like that. Alright, I'm going to now fix the top as well. Grab this. Okay. Now again, you understand why I use this view, right? Because I grab the stuff behind me is also take out. Okay, done. Then I'm going to look from the top, double, and I'm going to move it up first. Right? And place it as accurately as possible. There. Alright. Now that I'm done with that, right? I'm going to select these two, right? I'm going to double this again, and I'm going to move it to this side. Okay, now look from here, grab x-axis, and move it there. Okay, alright. I'm also going to put one in the center, because I feel like the box is going to be looking very flimsy otherwise. Right? If you want, you can put as many as you want. That should be around the center, because remember, that should be the fifth box, and right, this is 10 long, and so that should be around the center. Right? Again, don't have to be exact. There you go. Those are the beams. Okay. Now here's the thing. They are all in separate objects, and that's just going to be a headache for all of us, right? So I'm just going to select all of these guys, right? And I'm going to join them together. Yeah, group it, Control J, okay? And I'm going to name it, Kuba. Yeah, I'm going to name it box, we won't go box. Support beams. Yeah, I'm going to call it that. Alright? Now, what's the next thing I want to do? We want to also give support across this thing. Right? Why? Why do we want to give support across this thing? Because the bottom come here planks So that's how you normally do it. Anyway, imagination is. I'm gonna kind of copied something then. Okay. Imagination is an important part of modeling. Right? Okay, tap into it. I want only one piece, yeah. So I'm gonna pick one of them. Right? I'm gonna right click one of them. Control plus. And remember, I told you, right? When you control plus it, you're gonna be grabbing everything to do with that mesh. Control plus. It's like this. Okay, watch. I'm right clicking it and then control plus. And it's increasing the grab. And then I hold it for a while. And when I know that, okay, I have grabbed everything, then I'm done. I get it and grab bigger. If it's a very complex mesh, you might have to hold for a while, to grab everything. Right? So I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to press escape, P, selection, and I'm going to tab out. And now I will have a copy of that support beam, just one piece outside. Right? I'm going to grab that. I'm going to look from the right. Right? And right now, unfortunately, the origin we have misplaced. Right? You notice that the origin has gone off because I kind of moved it to that object. Move the origin is kind of off. So anyway, that's alright. Rotate 90 and I'm gonna bring it down here. And by the way, remember this time I don't have to do the whole subdivision thing because I just duplicated it. All the modifiers that was there in that original object will also be duplicated here. Yeah. So I'm gonna rotate it and I'm gonna bring it down here. And there. Okay. And I'm going to tab into this, grab this side, and move it here. Alright. I'm going to tab out. Alright. I'm going to duplicate this thing. Okay. And move it this way. Because, in your imagination, those two pillars in pillars, they call me fill colony. And grab across x-axis and just keep it there. And whoa, that was pretty close actually. Tab and okay, tab out. Okay, I'm gonna look from the top now. So see, that's how it turned out. I'm gonna actually close this menu and so now you can see these two, right? I'm going to grab these two, grab these two, top view, double, and move it up. Now I don't need to align them side by side, right? They are aligned already. So I just have to. Now remember, in this case, we are working with a very convenient model. Why? Because this is a box-shaped model. Right? So it doesn't always mean that you may end up with the most, like for example, one person is making a perfume bottle. It's going to be curved, most likely, right? So it doesn't always apply to everything. But I guess you understand how this is done. I'm going to grab one of these, right? I'm going to go double, right? I'm going to look from the top. I'm going to rotate 90 and move it here. Pretty okay. I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna go Z as in so I can see what's happening inside. Tab, right? And select this side. Move it up like that. Alright, tab out. Double this and move it to the center. Go centered. Actually, it's easier to see in here. Grab X. Okay. Okay, and double again. Move it to this end. Alright. Box bottom is done. Kind of gives a feeling of a box, right? Or does it? Okay. I'm going to grab these pillars. Okay. Now here's the thing about grouping. The last object you select when you're trying to group something is the actual object. The name name inherit Quran. Right. So MFA minegi support beams and right. So if I press Ctrl J, where is it? Ctrl J. Yeah. If I press Ctrl J, all those objects have been added to this guy. They have been added to this guy. So the name is named Benkov. Okay, but there is one more beam I did not add. Okay, this guy I didn't add it. So I'm going to select him first, then select this guy, so it becomes the active element again, and Ctrl J. Again, it's not necessary. Let me show you. If I made it this way and then I lose the name, it's just a matter of me going back and correcting the name, right? So just I don't know why I just do that. Okay, milestone. Control Alt S plus, and here's a little hint. You see this little red thing, right? It's saying that you are going to save over something else. So just keep pressing plus when you know, okay, now you are not saving over something else. Right? Save as blended. Okay. You guys want to take a break? Or continue? Hands, break, continue. Break, continue. Break it again. Continue. Okay, continue. Got one person to say it. Alright. So now that we've finished the bottom, so that's the container, right? Where is it? Yeah. Container. The container. We want to now work on the lid. Right? And how complicated would it be to work on the lid right now? To make life easy, I can keep it like this, right? That's okay, not a problem. But for now, all of these are separate, right? It's kind of difficult to, this gets very complicated right after a while. So, do you want me to edit all together, finalize and edit, or do you want to still keep it like that? Or we'll do it later, finalize later. Okay, we'll finalize later. Alright, let's select. Alright, so what's a lid? A lid is something that should fit in the top of this. So it essentially has to be the same thing with less Planck's, right? So we can do this. I can select all of this, right? Actually, I'm not selecting all. I'm not selecting the copy. That copy is in its own real world. Select all of this, Shift D, and I've got a double, right? Now I press Escape, and I'm still grabbing that double. Correct? I'll just move this up a bit. So I haven't still displaced it, but I'm just moving it up. Yeah. And what can I do now?
Rotate.
Alright, but I should rotate across Kong axis. X axis, correct. Rotate X 90 degree, 180 degree, 270, 180. 180. What's the problem?
Point.
Yes. The problem is the problem is the axis. They are not together, right? So they are just trying to get an average, but they'll be getting an average of the points here. So that's the problem here, right? So one way you can fix this, easy way to fix this is origin mean the misplaced waveform. Yeah. So I go see this is an object, right? So I go up here, origin to geometry. Origin to geometry. Yeah. I select this guy and the same thing. Origin to geometry, select this guy, origin to geometry, origin to geometry, origin to geometry, and the bottom also origin to geometry. Actually, why did that guy do that? Okay, explain why did that happen. Why did Mita Tirika mean the geometric origin should be the center? Why did it take it there? Exactly. The actual object is actually there. It's not in the center. Right? So that's where the problem comes in. So how can we, rotate this whole thing? What? Yeah, so cleaning it upside down, I want you guys to think a solution. You guys know about this little guy, right? Where you can change your pivot point. Okay, watch this. Now, one way for me to let me get out of this. One way for me to rotate this thing is Mitaga center. If I'm looking at it through this way, and I select all of this, right? For example, I select all of this. And if I choose a center point from here, I should be able to rotate this 90, right? Correct? So, okay, I'm going to go and press. Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, here we go. We're going to do it like this. I'm going to select that side and that side. And I'm going to press Shift S, right? And cursor to selected. Yeah, the maximum and the so the cursor to selected means that it will go to the average of those 2 points. And that should ideally be the center of the right? Okay. Now, I'm going to go out of this. I'm going to grab, not everything. I'm going to grab everything in the top here. Put this up. Okay. Grab. I'm not in edit mode right now. I'm in object mode. So I'm grabbing the actual objects itself. Right? Okay. I'm going to click here and I'm going to say 3D cursor across 3D cursor. Right? Rotate 180. Alright, done, right? Now if I move this up and get out of this view, it's rotated 180. Alright? I'm going to put this back to medium mode. Alright? That's just an easy. Of course, the other option is not that hard even. Let's say the other option, Naki, Koba. The other option is also not extremely hard. It's just that, if you want to be accurate, sometimes you tend to use. Okay. Did I select everything? Yeah, I selected everything. Okay. Get out of this view. Rotate across the x-axis 180. Right? It isn't aligned, right? So it's just a matter of me grabbing it and aligning it myself. That would have also been an easy solution. There you go. Pretty okay, right? Kind of looks like a line. So that's also a solution. So many ways to do the same thing. That's something that I want you guys to understand. This is not the only way to do something. There are so many ways you can do this. Yeah? Alright, so now that we've aligned it, let me see if I've aligned it from this way. Okay, now that we've aligned it, I need to make this thinner. So to do that, this part needs to go, it has to be 1 plank thick, right? That's ideal, right? 1 plank thick would be nice. Okay, I'm going to go 1 plank thick here, I'm going to go 1 plank thick here, and 1 plank thick here. Okay? Right. Now, this is one object, right? This is one object. So if I look from the right side, tab in Z and select these, select these parts and simply move it up, should be done. And we've got ourselves the lid. Okay. And then let's rename it because you guys want to keep the planks and everything in their own bodies. This should be plank front, and then 001 I'm going to remove that. Alright? And this should be plank top. No. And this should be plank back, and this should be plank left, and this should be plank right. Naming is important in whatever you're doing, modeling, programming. Okay, you guys are programmers. Commenting. You may think it's a joke, but it's extremely important because you're not the only one who's going to be programming in a team, right? So it's an important thing that you have to learn, a skill, right? Okay. Milestone. Control S. Save as Blender file. Alright. What do we do next? What was that? That was a lid. What do we do next? Now, okay. When you make these treasure chests, have you seen metal braces on chests?
Yes.
Why do you have metal braces on chests? I'm going physics now. My civil unit time. Yes. Why does it make it strong? That's the question.
So it bonds the planks together.
Yes. Actually, that's correct. Planks are very good at compression strength. Wood is very good at compression strength. But you can actually, for if you don't have the metal irons and stuff, you can actually wedge the metal. Nail will be the forward point. You can rip off the stuff. But if you try to hit stuff onto thick wood, it's very hard because it's very strong on the compression end. But iron is not very strong in the compression end, but it's very strong on the stretching end. So you put braces of iron around the wood, so you give that extra strength, right? So I don't know. I have to explain that. No, I don't know why I had to explain that to you guys. So we want to put a strip of iron around this thing. We'll go a bit easy. We will go with one strip of iron this way, one strip of iron this way. I put on the other one, I put this one, we put one strip of iron this way and one strip of iron this way. Right? We're going to go with only just on the center. Right? And we're going to use a latch. We're not going to use something like this. We're going to make a latch that's going to double up as a thingamajiggy here. Right? Alright. So let's work again at the bottom. Right? So just to be on the safe side, I'm going to grab all of these things, right? And going to move it to layer 3. Now, why do I do that? Other option is I can go and tick one by one here and, save me the time. By the way, I did not rename the support beams. I should actually call this support lid. And I should call this support box. My bad. Sorry guys. Alright, so I don't want to touch that. That's also one way. When you move it to another place, it's just easier. Right? Again, up to you guys. Do you decide how you want to manage your objects? That's totally free for you guys to do. Alright. So, we are going to start putting an iron brace around this thing, goes around like this and up here. Right? So the question is, how do we start? A plane. You said plane, right? Okay, right. Add a plane. Okay, and?
1 inch, so 0.2 will be 1.
Okay. So extend it by 0.2, right? Okay, tab in, extend by 0.2. No, wait, 0.2 would be too thick. Sorry, my bad. What? How much did you say?
0.1.
0.1. Okay. That's how much I get it. 0.1. Is that now? See, that's the wood gate thickness, right? See, here. Too much, right? So how much would you give? 0.1 may be a bit too much, unless you are, you have something extremely expensive to protect in there. But let's go 0.05, 0.04, right? Yeah, we'll go with 0.0. There's 2.25. Okay, we'll go this way, right? Okay. Now I'm gonna go again. What's the next step to do? We'll give it that fillet look, right? Metal has to have some fillet look, right? Iron especially. So actually, we're not going to give the fillet look right now. This is something I also learned through experience on SolidWorks. We are actually going to be giving the fillet look afterwards. Because right now we want to play around with this thing, as in move it around, put it in places and stuff like that, right? We're going to start at the top here. By the way, for this design, for our little suitcase, we are assuming that the smith wasn't that smart, right? So he didn't actually cut the grooves into the wood to push it into it. He's just pressing it around. We're going to assume that. Right. So we're going to do it a bit different from what I did the last time. Now, this is the front part, right? The front part has to metal, right? So what I'm going to do is extrude, move it a bit this way, right? Right? And see this bottom part? I'm going to grab this bottom part and extrude it downwards. Alright? That's how it's going to look. Now, unfortunately, from the top view, if I look at this, you notice that this is actually too thick. I'm going to reduce the thickness a bit. Yeah, maybe that much is enough, right? For a brace, that's enough, right? For metal brace. Maybe a bit thicker because we are using only one brace, no? Tab. And what's happening here is that this guy, this wood has to come into that. So so it should be it's going to be a piece like this, which is going to go in over it, right? So to do that, I can do this. Control R, tab in, Control R. I'm going to move one little piece here and one more vertex here, right? Then if I look from here, I can see that's how that part is going to look like, right? I'm going to move this up, so I go back in, put one more little two pieces here and grab it to the edge there. I just want to demonstrate to you guys different stuff that we can do on modeling, so that's why I'm doing this. Okay, I'm gonna deselect this and I'm gonna delete this center part because that's the part we don't want, right? X, and there you go. That's the part we don't want, but we want this part. Then that needs to be joined, right? So I'm going to introduce another tool to you guys, and that's the knife tool. So press K, right? Actually, not. We won't go with the knife tool right now. We'll go extrude still for this one. Yeah. Now, extrude. Right now, we are extruding this little. We want to have mere fitting, I will be starting to extrude this little point to another location. But right now, if I press Escape and Control Z, right now we don't want to place it somewhere else. We want to put it onto something else and lock onto something else. Right? So you choose from here, snap on koffa. Yeah, you don't need to choose anything from here. Just press snap here, right? And what that does is, I'm going to grab this little part here. I'm going to reduce this menu. Yeah. I'm going to grab this part here. E. Yeah. E. Where is it? Wait a minute. Why am I not able to see it? Control. Hold on. Sorry, my bad. Vertex. You have to select vertex element there. Yeah. Actually, you have to select vertex element because increment array, you have to use values, numbers. Vertex name, then you can press E, right? And I can actually turn it around, right? Okay, this is going to be a bit more complex. Grab the vertex that you want, turn the view around to the one that you want to grab, that you want to connect to. Then you press E, right? Now you have the thing grabbed, right? And then you get it close to the one that you want to grab to, and it snaps to it automatically, right? And then let go. Right? Now, after doing this, you press A, W5. Because you just snapped an axis, you just snapped a vertex onto another vertex. You didn't remove that vertex. So that's why you have to do select W, and then remove doubles. So, shortcut key for doubles here would be 5. I explained this part on the previous class. Right? Okay, now I have gotten that part, right? I grab these vertices, okay, and F, to create a face, okay. Then I need to also create a face mitanuga. Okay, mitanuga first time face create kolle, no? Okay, F, and I need to create a face here. Now this face is not connecting here, right? So it's just there. It's just there, right? And then I need to grab these ones to close up this bottom part, and F. And then I grab these parts. It's still open, though. So F. It's now closed. Now I got this part. Again, why am I doing this? Is this necessary? Depends on what you're doing. I'm just trying to explain to you the stuff that you can do. Alright? Okay. That's pretty cool. Okay. Can move it down now. And it should look like that. There you go. Now, I still haven't given the what do you call that, subdivision. We're not going to still give it, right? We're going to still finish the whole brace before we give the subdivision part. Okay? Alright. So, I'm going to move this, I'm going to go into Z view. I'm going to move this backwards. E, yeah? And, right. AW5. AW5. Okay. Gotta switch off this, what do you call this? Yeah, snapping, because otherwise it's going to make it very difficult for us to do work. Just increase it to about the same thickness as this part. Yeah. and grab this bottom part and let's extrude it all the way down. Okay, should have zoomed out and do it. We'll bring it down to that much. Okay, I'm going to extrude once more. That much, yeah, and grab this side, extrude, and take it all the way to the other side. Okay, CSC needs to zoom out and do that. Okay, extrude a bit more, and I'm going to zoom out and do this then. There you go. Up here, extrude it a bit more. And okay. Actually, what I'm going to do here is going to teach you another little thing. Now, I can waste my time doing the same thing I just did here. Right? Or I can simply, because the repeat partaka vanikoche, the repeat partaki, actually I'll make it even easier than that, because here I'm going to create a center cut. There'll be a center point here, right? And everything on this side will be the same repeat on that side. So I don't need to make that, correct? So I'm going to get out, I'm going to grab the rest of this and I'm going to delete that. Right? And I'm going to keep that notebook. Okay? And now I'm going to start giving it the subdivision. And let's see how it looks for now. Subdivision. And we'll go up to 3. And you start seeing that it looks extremely weird right now. Correct? See, it's kind of off. Because we don't have those, okay, I'm going to go to this view. We don't have those controls at the sides. Right? So tab, and I need to put these controls here. And it's very difficult for you guys to see with all this mess in the back, right? I'm gonna get out of this. Actually, there's a shortcut key to isolate this guy only. I've forgotten that shortcut key to isolate only that guy. So I'm gonna just hide the. Okay, I'm gonna hide. There's a shortcut key when you're working in something. Okay, when you have selected an object, there's a shortcut key for you to hide everything else for that moment, and then come back to it. I've forgotten that shortcut key. All right, go back in here, and I'm gonna grab this and move it all the way to this side. Now again, I'm not going to be perfectly doing this. I'm just going to move it to the side so I get that little kurukura edge deepa. Metal ga ma sharp one. Metal is much more sharper than wood. Yeah, so you don't need to be that. Okay, so now the question is, what is going on here? Why is this part going like this? There is no control here. Mitankolu. Because something has to, because the divide kura, something has to say, hey, nunake, everyone boda ekola nudache. Eka netana game brave kaidda. So you want to put Control R from here and drag one all the way up here. And see, that guy is controlling that one. Right? Now the question is, what about this guy? This guy is coming here. That's because there is no control on this end. And now we'll get one like that. Right? So, same thing here. And one more guy here. One more guy here. And we gotta do the same thing on this side. Down, up here. Down here. And that's pretty much done on the top, right? Yeah, the top is pretty well done actually. Oh, wait. Okay, so we bring one here. And we're going to bring one here. And now you want to, why am I using one at a time right now? Because right now it might not be the safest thing to do. Two hada means scale kurimka, it might not work. Because they are not even and they have their own angles right now. So it's safer to actually go like this. Right? Again, it depends on the object you're working on. Okay, so the bottom part is not done. So again, put a restriction here. Grab z-axis, okay, down. And mitano restrict kurang kolong etchen. And we will have it restricted. Now, okay, I'm gonna get out of this. Looking at a small screen is actually stressful to your eyes, man. Now look at that. Pretty good looking. It doesn't look like anything right now because we haven't put the textures yet. We do the shading. Okay, we do the shading right at the end. Okay. Now I'm gonna do another trick. So the thing I wanted to explain to you guys, I need to repeat this to that side, right? So Shift D. Okay, I'm gonna look from the top, rotate 180. Okay, and it just goes down. Anyway, so now you understand how all these things are working. And now I know that at the top it's still not aligned. We can align that at the top right now. Let's just start to connect these two parts. Now here comes a little bit of a thing that needs to be covered in this class, in this session. Remember I told you that there are two ways to do shading, right? Actually for our demonstration we'll do two more. There are two ways to do shading. That's smooth shading and flat shading, right? Smooth shading, what it does is, flat shading you see every surface ka waki ainani the color shades fella, right? But when you do smooth, the computer, the GPU or whatever you want to call this thing, tries to get a contrast of those color shadings and gives you this smoother look. So this is a nicer looking thing. But sometimes what happens is, when you do this, you might find odd looking what happens is the normal, every plane has a normal. As in a plus side or minus side. Sometimes it doesn't happen by an error. It's just something that you do mistaking heading etching overlap kollevera vagothike ekka plane plus minus shift to kollevera. Shift kollevera ekka a negative ka vejje it should be on the other side should be a dark shade So egotang error So sometimes when you're mikal error em ginam vasa obaki when you're connecting two pieces. Right? And I'll show you how this works. I have to first join these two together. Yeah? Otherwise I can't work in the same mesh. Correct? So I'm gonna join those two, tap into it, and these are the two edges. I can select these two edges. Right? Are they aligned to one another? They are, right? They should be because they have the same number of axes here and same number of axes up there. Correct? So if I were to select these two and go to loop tools and press bridge, what does this do? So what does it, okay, so did it create an error? Did I get any black? This time it worked very well. Wow. Okay, sometimes it doesn't work, so okay. This time it worked very well. Most of the time this works very well. Yeah. But always when you're doing this, flat ka amuko, you'll be working in default on flat. So whenever you do a bridge, just double check whether it worked by going to smooth and looking around it. Bridge masike kura gotakimi. Okay, bridge masike kura gotaki. You have to have, if it's a circle or any shape, you should try to get as close as shape as possible. Yeah. But the most important thing, let's say you want to try to make two circles get together. They don't necessarily need to be exact, but you can try to make two circles come together. But the points that have to be there is you should have the same number of vertices to the same number of vertices. 1 to 1 in the chain. Because what bridge program or the function does is it matches these and then tries to connect all of the subsequent ones. So you always try to bring them close together as possible so that a bridge function it gets it right. So it's a very cool tool when you're making duplications, when you're making certain connections. Right? Okay. So bridge. And again test it. Okay. Pretty good. Now that side is done. I'm going to again show this up. But I haven't aligned this side, right? So I'm going to go in here. I say tab. And grab up to here. And simply align it to this end. And I align it to that end. It should align up there as well, right? Shouldn't be a problem. Okay, the first brace is done. We're going to call this brace box. Correct. Okay. Actually, you're right because there will be a brace for the lid, right? Okay. Now I need another brace, crossco. And how hard is this going to be? Double. Look from the top. Rotate 90, and for some weird reason it's almost aligned on that side. It's not actually fully aligned, but I'm going to just correct this. Grab y-axis and just move it down a bit. Grab x-axis and move it in a bit. Actually, I'm going to go grab x-axis. Alright. Okay, that should be pretty alright from that side. Bottom should be okay for now. We have to do something with the bottom. I'll explain something, yeah? Okay. I mean, if you want to be accurate, you have to do it. You don't have to do it. Right. Okay, tab. Grab this side, yeah? And actually I will grab this side as well, yeah? I put that in the center, then this side I'll just drag it all the way to that end. And I should have my brace on that side as well. And you see it. Brace down on that side. Easy peasy, right? Now I have a problem. Yes, the two braces are meeting, right? So what can we do? Well, we can give a little bit of a wedge. So we can so we can do something like that. Look from this side, tab in, and I'm gonna go Control R and move a little loop cut there, yeah? Another loop cut there. Actually, I'm going to move one more, yeah, because we'll need one more. And I'm going to move one more here. And this is where the fun starts to come when you guys get into this. Yes. So, what can you do then? From a designer's point of view, what would you do if that's the case? Weld Quran middle, right? But you have to think about it like this. Let's just assume that the welding technology back then wasn't that great. So what's another solution, an easier solution? What? Okay, think outside the box. No, not outside the box. It has to do with the box, but what else can you do? bend, okay. Bend to me kuram me kuram me kotaki. What we are doing is mitan kome nagada. Me hada. Little bit of bend again. But what else can you do? He's got a point. The point is, 89 pro hilly, so it's going to make it look, it's going to be off. What? Yes. So coaching is ideal. Yes, you can put feet. And almost every box have feet. A little bit of a rise. It's actually easier to put a rise at the bottom than sorting out that. It's a solution. It doesn't mean that that's the way you're going to get it. I'm not saying that that's the way you have to do it. I'm just saying that's also a solution. Alright? Please don't misunderstand that I'm explaining to you guys that this is how you make a box. That's not what I'm trying to do. Right? That's not my goal here. My goal is to try to explain this is a box being created. I want to see your boxes. Right? You don't have to make boxes if you want to practice them. Right? It will be advisable to practice them. Now the problem here is I got this mitana. I will do the same thing on that side. Now here we're just gonna have to, I will just show you certain things that when you practice you start understanding. Right? Because not enough restrictions being told. So one way to give this restriction is simply putting one more here. See, it suddenly got sharper, right? Correct? Alright. And I can do the same thing on this side. Right? Okay. Now I also want this to get a bit closer, a bit more flush to the metal, right? So I can do this. Grab this, rotate it a bit this side, right? And add one more one here. See how you're doing it? Right? So these kinds of things you will notice only through practice. And this is true with any software you use. Not only with Blender, even Maya. There will be tools that you have to experiment with in order to get, what you're doing. Okay, now I'm going to grab this part and this part and the center and move it up a bit so that it's closer to the, And then I'm going to grab this one, rotate a bit and move it a bit this way. So it's got that flush. It gives the illusion of old, metal kind of style, There you go. Alright? If you want it still smoother, you can edge it out a bit and it will get smoother. Alright? If you want it. Right? Okay. So the wobbly part is true right now. So one solution to that is putting feet. Even in my other one also I had that wobbly part. I forgot to put the feet in the putting hediyate. Okay. Actually we can finish the braces in the top. Okay? We can finish the braces in the top and you'll see how quickly this can be done. I am going to put these two as one object. Again, Control J, and okay, the name is correct, brace box. Okay. Now I'm gonna. Where is it? Where is my? Yeah, here it is. I'm gonna move this guy. I'm gonna M to layer 1. Okay. And I'm gonna double this brace box, press escape. I'm already now selecting the copied one. Look from the top, move it up, rotate 180. Okay, move it down. Check it out. Move it down again. Grab Z-axis. Grab Z-axis. Right. Actually, grab. What is this? X-axis. Let's just make sure the other side is also correct. Yeah, the other side is correct, right? Okay. Now, what is missing? The bottom is not aligned, right? So just simply go into it. Z. Move it up. And you've got yourself a box with a lid. Top brace union. Okay, what's the hint here? The hint here is a lot of the time when you're modeling stuff, you will be doing repetitive stuff. And you don't necessarily need to do it again. You can use the stuff that you have. For example, if you have a phone with keypads, a lot of keypads, you can only make one key and then you can repeat it, right? In most cases. Okay, there are certain phones that have unique keys for every key, but by far, keys that repeat one are it's like a mirror effect. A good example is the Nokia Butterfly. Right? There's that kind of feel. Right? Okay. Milestone. Control Alt S. Save as Blender. So we have finished the, what is it? Brace top and brace bottom. We're actually a bit slow, but actually it's alright. Shall we stop for this now? Brace top, right? Tip top. We'll finish off for now, right? Continue. Alright, so we'll finish off. Okay. Control S.